Hello and welcome. I am Exit Light and this is my channel. Today we're going to talk about the very strange death of a man whose name was Larry Conn. And he died in the Kings Canyon National Park in California. Before we get started, if you would please like this video and share it if you would. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. It's free, and it helps you to be notified when my content goes live. All right, let's talk about Larry Conn. Larry Conn was 53 years old when he went for a hike on the Taboose Pass on October 19, 2012, in Kings Canyon National Park in California. He was a lawyer with Paulson Shugart in Los Angeles. He had planned to hike over Taboose Pass toward the John Muir Trail, and his route may have included Split Mountain and areas to the south, including Pinchot Pass. Larry was well prepared for the hike, with 5 days' worth of food and water, a tent, a cell phone, and warm clothing. He intended to be back on Monday, October 22nd, 2012. But Larry never arrived after his 3-day trip, and his remains turned up on Taboose Pass in June of 2013, which solved the mystery of his whereabouts. But the circumstances of this well-equipped hiker's death and the failure of the search and rescue efforts to find him remains strange. Kings Canyon National Park is in the southern Sierra Nevada, in Fresno and Tulare counties in California. It was originally established in 1890 as a General Grant National Park. The park was greatly expanded and then renamed to Kings Canyon National Park on March 4, 1940. The park's namesake, Kings Canyon, is a rugged glacier-carved valley more than 1 mile deep. Kings Canyon is north of and contiguous with Sequoia National Park. Both of these parks are jointly administered by the National Park Service as the Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. The combined Pacific Crest Trail, John Muir Trail, crosses the entire length of the park from north to south. Taboose Pass in the Inyo National Forests is at 11,414 feet. It is maintained as an entryway for east side hikers who want to access the John Muir Wilderness, the John Muir Trail, or the Bench Lake area in Kings Canyon National Park. The trail is described as strenuous, that requires a climb of more than 6,000 feet. At the time, Larry was 5 feet 10 inches. He was 160 pounds. He had short black hair with gray in it. He also had a mustache and a goatee beard. He was likely wearing dark clothing. He may have a red or yellow bandana. He may have been using a dark gray or blue backpack and using a tan and red dome tent. On the evening of October 20th, 2012, a winter storm arrived in the area where Larry was hiking, and it deposited up to 12 inches of snow. He was reported overdue to the Inyo County Sheriff's Department on the evening of October 23rd by friends, and the Sheriff's Department confirmed his vehicle was still at the trailhead on the east side of the Sierra in Inyo County. But it wasn't until the next day that search and rescue teams began searching on October 24th, and involved 56 personnel from multiple agencies, with 10 ground search teams, 3 dog teams, and 5 helicopters. Of course, the rugged terrain and the winter weather severely hindered the search efforts. Besides the snow and the ice, crews were working in elevations of up to 13,000 feet, forcing them to battle the effects of altitude sickness. Finding any tracks left by Conn was made difficult by the swing in temperatures, causing the ice to melt to slush during the afternoon, making it difficult to search the area as footprints slowly melted away. A total of 48 square miles of mountainous terrain with elevations ranging from 8,000 to 14,000 feet was searched. Nighttime temperatures dropped to as low as 15 degrees Fahrenheit, and snowdrifts made travel by foot extremely difficult. 2 searchers were evacuated by helicopter due to medical concerns related to the weather and the altitude. Search and rescue operations were suspended on November 1st after just 7 days. When Larry's partner was interviewed, Klaus Svensson said at the time, "I'm just praying that he's mobile, hoping he's working on his exit route. Just come home, Larry. Please." The search resumed in June of 2013, and a hiking shoe was located near Taboose Pass. A few days later, a tattered tent and several other items were discovered off the trail at 11,400 feet of elevation by a hiker who reported the find. Then there was this. Possible human remains were then located, stashed near a Kings Canyon National Park boundary sign, as was a cell phone that was determined to be Larry's. Although at the time a spokesman for the Inyo County Coroner's Office couldn't confirm that the human teeth and several smaller bones found near Taboose Pass were Larry's, the remains were in the same general locale. "It's not unusual to find human bones in the Inyo County wilderness," said the coroner's spokesperson. "In that rugged high country over the years, several hikers have vanished without a trace. Animals, birds, or a harsh winter can relocate skeletal material only to be discovered years later." Although I have a feeling that they're not discovered piled up near a sign. The identity of the bones discovered were later confirmed by the presence of Larry's belongings in the nearby area, particularly the discovery of his iPhone. The iPhone confirmed that he had stayed at the camp located at 9,600 feet on the eastern side of the Taboose Pass for the first night. The next day he stayed at a lake west of Split Mountain, and then he climbed up the ridge via the north slope route the next morning, but most likely did not summit since he did not sign the register, nor did he take any photos from the top of Split Mountain. He spent the next day using the John Muir Trail to get to the Marjorie Lake area, where he then set up camp and he spent the night. On Monday, during the snowstorm, Larry made it from Marjorie to Bench Lake / JMT Junction, then up 3 miles to the top towards the southern end of Taboose Pass in approximately 2.5 hours. But what happened to Larry after setting up his tent? Well, it's a mystery. Larry was enjoying himself, taking a few landscape photos of the snowy conditions on the way up, which definitely indicates that he wasn't lost or injured in any way. But the conditions at the top of the pass turned more severe, with visibility of 50 to 75 feet at most. Larry had not carried an oven since he only ate cold meals, so warm meals or a hot water bottle were not options for Larry. He may have also run out of food that morning, since he usually did not carry extra food rations with him on the trip, although they said that he had taken enough food for 5 days. A fire was not possible since there are no trees at the top of Taboose Pass or anywhere nearby. It was about noon when Larry made it to the top of Taboose Pass. Why didn't he continue down to the safety of the lower elevations? Was visibility so bad that he felt it to be dangerous to continue? Emergency phone call attempts were recorded on his iPhone. Visibility was bad. Did he lose his bearings? Or did he choose to set up his tent to wait out the storm, rather than risk injury trying to climb down the mountain? Temperatures were in the 20s. Hypothermia could have been an issue, especially with the intense hiking over the fresh snow terrain. It would have caused him to get wet from sweating, allowing the heat to radiate from his body over time. He would have been breathing in cold air, further lowering his core body temperature. Paradoxical undressing could have occurred as his body cooled. After enough heat was lost, he would have no longer been able to function properly, and he would have not noticed that he was shivering severely. Muscles would become stiff. He would have slowed down, moving less and less, Maybe on that particular day he just had enough energy to set up his tent, attempting to warm up with several layers of clothing. Then he got into a sleeping bag, and he fell into a stupor from which he never woke up. Of course, all that is conjecture. Because if so, why were his bones not found in the tent? Were they moved by animal activity and then piled up by a sign? Since his tent was up, since he was walking, why didn't any one of 5 helicopters spot him? They said he was probably wearing a yellow or red article of clothing. Why was he not seen? How do that many search people and 5 helicopters and dogs and all the stuff they do, how do you miss someone who is alive and walking and likely to try and get your attention if a helicopter is flying over? Lots of climbers and hikers do die from exposure and hypothermia in North American national parks, like King Canyon. But someone like Larry, who is so competent in the outdoors, and with the equipment like a tent on hand, should have been able to survive despite the cold. He knew what he was going hiking in. Hypothermia, perhaps, altitude sickness, together with the effects of the severe weather. Maybe it took their toll on Larry. But how long was it that Larry succumbed to these is unclear. We don't know if that is what happened to Larry. So, if you have any information, no matter how small you think it is, please call the national parks or the local police and tell them anything that you might have seen or heard. Thank you. Good night.